Hello, once again, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to another edition of AIW's The Card is Going to Change. Before we get into this week's episode, of course, thanks to our sponsors that help us bring the show to you for free on whichever podcast platform you choose to listen. Thanks to our friends over at Smokin' Jay's Barbecue. Show coming up next week at the Odeon in Cleveland, June 17th. Haven't confirmed, but I would imagine, and it was looking like some Smokin' Jays will be there on deck for you to enjoy. If you are in the Massillon area or you've got some catering events that you're looking for something different or for some good fun food, go to smokin_Jays, Jays BBQ on social media. Follow them on any social media platform and reach out and see what they can offer you in terms of some delicious eatery at your next event. And thanks to the merger between SmartMark Video and IWTV, watching AIW has never been easier. You go to smartmarkvideo.com and you can purchase AIW on DVD. It's the entire full archive of AIW shows that have ever been put out on DVD or video. Those are there. You could also purchase MP4s as well. If a streaming service is more up your alley, go to IWTV and subscribe for $9.99 a month. Not only do you get a rotating archive of AIW shows, but also our live events that stream live, and also an abundance of other independent wrestling promotions and their shows, their live streams, plus plenty of more original series from independent wrestling.tv. And that all being said, rolling in to this week's episode. Much to talk about. AIW owner John Thorne is here, of course. And
yes, I am. I am here. Do we have much to talk about? I don't know.
I don't know. Right after I said that, I was like, I don't know that we do actually have much to talk about.
We'll find out.
My name is Steve Guy, your moderator of sorts.
Well, I'll correct that. There's probably much people want us to talk about, but maybe there's nothing for us to actually talk about.
Yeah, that's fair. So before all of that, though, before we get to the much or maybe not much to talk about, there is the shout out segment. And let's see who to shout out. Oh, I got one right here. Shout out to Cleveland Browns fullback Johnny Stanton. Derek Dillinger and I out hobnobbing last week, ran into him, had a great chat. He and Derek, both big Dungeons and Dragons fans. I don't know if you knew that about our Ace Degenerate.
I have so many questions. Just off that sentence. Hobnobbing. What the fuck does that mean?
Socializing, bouncing place to place, chatting up people. You never heard hobnobbing before?
No, I've heard of Hobgoblin, which is a movie, Hobgoblins, but not Hobnobbin.
Hobnobbin, yeah.
Is that what you said? Hobnobbin, Hobnoblin. Hobnobbin?
Hobnobbin.
Hobnobbin. No, don't know that one. And much to everyone's surprise out there, I don't know a fucking thing about Dungeons and Dragons either.
I don't either. Yeah. Maybe it's because I did the old wrestling show. Maybe I got all these old-timey words in my head still.
All these fucking old dictionary words.
Yeah. Which shout out to
I guess all words. I guess all words are dictionary words.
They are, yeah, typically, yeah. Except for the slang ones, and it takes them a while. Then eventually they get introduced in the dictionary.
Nah, I'll correct you on that. Those would all be urban dictionary words, right?
Well, no. Eventually, if a slang word is in the lexicon long enough, they add it to the actual dictionary.
All right.
Yeah, learned something new, huh?
I did.
Couple new things.
I don't know the last time I had a dictionary in hand, but it's good to know.
Learn hobnobbing, learn about dictionaries.
Hobnobbing around. That's going to be the name of this episode. Gonna need a proper spelling when we sign off.
Okay. But yeah, shout out to Marion Fontaine. Good time at Old Wrestling last Friday at the Beachland Ballroom.
That was the location of Hell on Earth 1.
Yeah. That's what he was trying to figure out. He was trying to figure out how many times AIW had ran there.
Just once.
That's what he said that you had said, but he was thinking that it was more than once for sure,
I know
at least twice.
he tried to debate me on that at Gauntlet, and no, it was only one time. I think there were talks of maybe going back there, but it just never materialized. Hell on Earth 1, 2005, John Thorne versus Michael Hutter in a casket match.
Oh wow. There you are.
I don't even remember how big it is.
So it's a good size space.
I know the ring eats up quite a bit of it, though.
It really does. Much bigger space, obviously, of course, when there's a concert. They also built in a new sound booth during the course of the pandemic, doing some cleaning up and renovations. And so that now takes up some space as well. Kind of goes into the ballroom there. It's kind of a big thing and wide. So, with the wrestling ring, I mean, maybe you do 200, 250, kind of hard to gauge there, but I think, and that's pretty much the limit.
Okay.
If you lay out chairs, that's all you can really do are just the chairs. You don't really have much space for standing.
Did they have chairs or?
Yeah, they went seated.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, when we ran there, I think it was all standing room only. I can't remember. So long ago.
And that was with the ring right up against the stage too. So, not a ton of space, but a fun time for sure.
I'm always interested in trying to get a east side-ish location going, but this will not make sense to anybody that's not a Clevelander, but like the east side of Cleveland is like a foreign land to me. So I just know nothing east of Dead Man's Curve, really. We did a couple of Mentor on the Lakes back in the day. That's far east. Very successful when we did East Lake this past November.
Yeah,
which I think maybe we're gonna go back there for Hell on Earth again. I should probably iron that all out, but always kind of interested in an east side location because predominantly there's never been much wrestling like on anywhere east Cleveland-ish. There used to be some stuff very, very far out, like Paynesville, way, way, way back in the day, like in the early 2000s, late 90s. But yeah, always kind of interested in finding a location out there, but it just never pans out because the Odeon is so centrally located. I kind of feel we would pull from both east and west.
Well, even Goldhorn was actually east side, technically speaking.
Technically, but really kind of just right on the outskirts of downtown.
Yeah.
Which I tried to go back there, and there's just a new person there, and I don't know, they put pinball machines or something in that room we did the show in, and whoever the new person was, just no fucking idea what I was talking
about. I got a couple more shout outs. You got any shout outs though?
Yeah, I got a shout out. I went to my cousin Charlie's wedding over the weekend.
All right.
Shout out to Charlie in Morgan. #forevermore was the wedding hashtag slogan because, his last name is Moore. So there you go. Wedding was in the middle of the fuck nowhere though, which, made it a little difficult to fully take advantage of that open bar.
Yeah.
Because all the hotels were also sold out and also 20 minutes away anyway. But it was like all the way in like Norwalk near Sandusky on like a farm venue.
Oh.
Inside of like this, fancy barn. I don't know what the fuck was going on, but so went and did that. Saw lots of family members. Shout out to Uncle Jimmy, recently released from jail. He was out there having a good time.
All right, good for Uncle Jimmy.
Yeah, Dom, him and Dom are good buds. They helped me move when I moved a couple of years ago, and Dom and Uncle Jimmy became fast friends based on their Italianness. So
Mm.
they were very. Dom was very happy to see Uncle Jimmy on my Instagram story over the weekend, and asked many questions about how he was doing. But yeah, I saw tons of family members over the weekend, which, I don't do a ton of like family, family fun gatherings.
Yeah.
Um, so it was nice to get out and do that and see all those people, all those cousins and, just kind of distant family members. So, that's kind of how I spent my weekend.
All right. Well, a big shout out to one of the owners of the dive bar, Justin. He and his wife welcomed their first child just recently. So big news there too, from marriage to now kids over in the next shout out. So congrats to them. He's always treated us very well. He's come to a few shows and of course taking care of us through the after parties at the dive bar, which uh, you heard it here first. We may be making the after party for next week at the Odeon. So I know that would come up as a question for folks. But that is, that's in the cards right now. That's a conversation being had. But yeah, congrats to Justin and his wife.
Yeah, it's just been it's really been a crazy couple weeks, honestly. Through Memorial Day weekend, I know we were all kind of off doing various things, and then I did like a marathon Patreon session at my house last weekend where we finally dropped commentary tracks on the North Canton Street Festival shows. One of those full edits is up on Patreon for you to watch. It's about, I think, 45 minutes long or something like that. The show number 1 from North Canton Street Festival, that's up there. We got a couple exclusive Patreon podcasts we recorded. So, I know that one of my big goals was trying to get back on track for Patreon, and spent last weekend trying to do that and, gather content. We also put together packages that are going to be going out for the, special delivery. I forget what it's called. The tier where you get a random item in the mail. So worked a lot on Patreon last weekend. And then, right into, the wedding stuff this weekend. Friday, I also got to hang out with the Sanka family for a little bit. Nick
Hey,
and
there you
Chris. Sully was in the house.
Sully in the house. All right.
Nick's girlfriend, Allie. They were camping up at Cedar Point, so I went and hung out with them for a little bit on Friday night, and had a couple cocktails. Hung out at their they're now camper people where they just go and take a camper and go set up for a weekend somewhere.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
I went and met up with them on Friday night for a little bit. So, that was a good time. And, right to that wedding on Saturday, and then, Sunday recovery mode. So it's been crazy. And then, my job has just been insane. Probably something, we should talk about is mask mandates back at my job, which is a little concerning for the summer of fun that AIW has planned right now.
Yeah. That's going to be a topic of controversy, I'm sure, for people, but, it is what it is. If people can just be helpful and responsible and be cool about it. And look, I don't care what your thoughts are on these things, but if it becomes a policy, then it's a policy, and just, help us out,
Yeah, I was a little shocked by it. And, I saw that a lot of other places in Cuyahoga County have brought back a mask mandate. It's not like an official government stance or anything, but I don't know. You know what I mean? Like it
Mhm.
seemed like we were kind of out of the woods, and you don't even, they're not even like really reporting on a lot of COVID numbers anymore. And then like out of nowhere, it was, I guess, Cuyahoga County like changed whatever I don't know, however they rank it. You know what I mean? Like whatever
Yeah.
whatever the alert system was, they we went from like whatever to like high again, and they started like places started instituting mask mandates again. So just giving people a heads up that who knows what could be coming in the month of June.
Oh, there you go, folks. Pay attention. Keep your eyes out, just in case. We'll obviously, keep you posted through social media at AI Wrestling or right here on the podcast as well. So, we'll keep you updated if we need to make any sort of those mandates. Uh, I will give, I'll give a final shout out here, Thorn, to kind of, it'll segue us, I think, into some of the conversations that we're going to have here. Unless you have any others you'd like to give a shout out to.
No, I'm shouted out.
All right. Then I will say this shout out to absolute and intense champion Matt Cardona. If you follow him on social media or wrestling on social media in general, you probably did see, for those who did not, he did tear his bicep. And today, as we are recording this, went into surgery to repair that. So, that ending the shout out segment, quick segue into this to tell you, we don't have any sort of true update yet. Just had surgery today. Thorn, you have not spoken to him. I would imagine at this point, after he's out of surgery.
Yeah. So, obviously spoke to him leading up to it. As a matter of fact, when it happened, he did text me and said, he thought maybe he had torn his bicep. So, he had texted me that day. And, he didn't know for sure. So it's kind of, you can't make a plan without a, proper diagnosis or whatever you want to say. Put us all kind of in this weird holding pattern, so to speak, right? I know that, when I Google it, it says one thing. I know that the doctor told Matt Cardona another thing. And then I know Matt Cardona thinks a completely other thing. You know what I mean? So I think we should know more coming out of the surgery, which is probably happening as we record this. And that's just where we're at. I mean, there's no official decision that's been made. But we are going to have to probably do something because absolution is, about a month and a half away, and we do need a main event. Which it sounds like Matt Cardona more than likely will not be able to participate in. However, we're going to give him the benefit of the doubt and allow him to get the exact, diagnosis or recovery time frame from the doctor, which will be, post surgery, once they, are able to see how it went and everything. So I don't think we will make any sort of decision prior to June 17th as far as what is going to happen. Obviously there is a potential that he would be stripped or, would have to vacate, depending on what the timeline is, which, sucks going into absolution. But, that's just kind of where we're at right now. And, it seems a lot of companies are in that situation right now, like it just happened in AEW. It just happened in WWE. A lot of major injuries seem to be going around for whatever reason. So, I wish I could sit here and I could tell you definitively, this is what we're going to do. This is our plan. But it's hard to make a plan when we don't have a time frame. Like I said, you can Google, you can Google and you can see one thing. What a doctor told Matt Cardona but prior to surgery is another thing. And then what Matt Cardona thinks that he's capable of is, is a third thing. So we have to wait and see where things are at. Obviously, Cardona wants to come back as soon as possible, and thinks that he would be able to really ramp up and speed up his recovery time. But, as we know, that's not always how it works. So it's hard for me to sit here and say that I have a plan on what's going to happen.
Let me ask this, because that's part of what this podcast is about. It's an inside look behind the scenes of independent wrestling promotion and booking it. You get this news, you get this text from him. What are your thoughts? Is it a balance of, well, shit, what does this mean for this nearly year-long storyline that we've been working with, and a balance with, hey man, are you okay? What all kind of goes through your mind immediately?
Obviously there is some selfishness there. When, we started this story and, there was so much kind of, like a visceral reaction from our fans, right? Very upset when Matt Cardona became the champion, and to know that we had this kind of long burn planned, and we got through nearly all of the chapters of the story. It is pretty upsetting that there's a potential, which is more likely going to happen than not, of it not coming to fruition and, everything kind of wrapping up in this story that we've all spent so much time on. And then there's also just the general concern of, his health and where he's at, because, he does not have a WWE machine behind him anymore. He does not have a guaranteed income anymore. He could be looking at several months of no bookings, no money, relying on merch sales and things like that, to where, trust me, I know what his schedule is, because I've tried to get dates, tried to get him on dates that weren't initially given to him, and he's not available. We're talking, he had dates already into 2023, so there is, that concern for him, and, where's his head is at, and, how this is going to, be mentally taxing for him. So there's just a lot of, concern, and, there's a lot of reluctancy for me to even ask, you know what I mean? Because I don't want to come off so selfish and, so concerned with what's happening with my shows, because, he's got probably 30, 40, 50 other promoters that was supposed to work for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's a balance in how to kind of try to get the answers that we need, but not, you know what I mean? Like also respect, his situation. It's very tricky. Um, and he may not even care when I ask him that, but I'm just saying, it's very awkward for me to say, hey, what's the diagnosis? What's the verdict? Hey, we may have to vacate. We may have to do this. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's all very tricky because, I love him or hate him. He has done quite a bit for AIW over the last year. And, you don't want to disrespect him in any way, but, if he is going to be out, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 months, I don't know that we can do that without singles champion. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So it's just it's very difficult. And, everybody is hopeful that it's going to be on the short end of recovery, but anybody that's ever had surgery knows that there are varying windows depending on how your body takes to a surgery.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of like the jury's still out on the whole thing.
Yeah. So a bit premature to say, hey, we've got to vacate these titles and we got to figure something out, because if it's a shorter window, that may not be necessary whatsoever.
Right. And I mean, obviously, the plan for June 17th was going to be pick your poison for both of them. Obviously, he is not going to be able to participate. So, instead of blow the whole card up and, after we started kind of building things, for the undercard at Gauntlet, we're going to kind of write it out as planned. We will just remove what would have been the Matt Cardona match, and just kind of get through the rap show on June 17th, and then reassess, and we will have a definitive plan probably in between there and the show at the Winchester on July 7th. So, I mean, it sucks that we have such kind of now a tight window to put something together, potentially, but I just think that's the way we're going to have to do it at this point. We're not going to know what's what. And I do have, I have been brainstorming, obviously. But, my big thing is I don't want to let the fans down, who've come along for the ride for this whole thing. This is essentially like our WrestleMania build is our Absolution build, right? And
yeah,
it's just it's tough to go in without that big marquee main event. So,
it's true or false difficult. Though. True or false? You are concerned with now losing 90% of your fan base.
I mean, I'm concerned with losing fan base. I mean, obviously not 90%, like some people have alleged, but
yeah,
obviously concerning. Matt Cardona has always, brought out
the universe,
as I say, and I have noticed the tickets have been slower than usual for Gangster Rap made me do it, for an Odeon show for sure. Um, you know, obviously it's a little bit different coming out of that Minoru Suzuki situation where it was such a hot ticket.
Mhm.
But we still have a while to go to reach those sort of numbers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's not 90%, but it's a bit concerning that there will be a drop off when it's supposed to be kind of the most exciting time for AIW. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like it's and especially coming off Gauntlet, and it seemed like everything had clicked into place there. So it's a little concerning to go from that into this obviously this injury, and that the whole world is aware of, and tickets being a little slower than we anticipated, and obviously we want Absolution to be the most successful show of the year. That's the plan. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done over these, this next month and a half to try to fix a lot of these potential problems.
Yeah. Well, so let's talk a little bit about June 17th coming up. Tickets are still available, folks. We're going to be back at the Odeon in downtown Cleveland, Ohio. Shop.aiwrestling.com for tickets. We do have still an amazing show and lineup. Some of that, has been released. We've announced Kevin Sullivan is going to be there as a special guest. So meet and greet available with him. Josh Bishop has a surprise opponent. We've talked about that. We have this amazing 6-person scramble that's going to include M-Dog Matt Cross, who just saw last week, and he's excited to, already be coming back to AIW again. And he's also in that scramble with him. We have Bandito making his way to Cleveland, and Jack Heavens going to descend from the heavens into Cleveland, Ohio. So, I mean, just those three. It's an amazing chance to see guys that you don't get to see all the time, or I mean, hardly ever, right here in Cleveland. So such a rare appearance by these guys. Obviously, Matt Cross you get to see much more often in Cleveland than Bandito and Jack Evans. But this is going to be an action-packed show, and it is our annual No Rules show. So again, we've talked about in months before, we've kind of shaken up and redone the order of our shows. And so this is now happening next week, June 17th, a show traditionally we would do typically in May, but here we are rolling this sucker out. And
we kind of shook things up for the traditional schedule with COVID. We were able to kind of maneuver some things around, and this is kind of in the same spot. But traditionally, we would also be trying to, put a J-Lit in there, and that has been moved to post Absolution, which I think will, help things flow a little bit better. Now that we're able to kind of readjust how things are going. I do know who Josh Bishop's mystery opponent is. And I think people are going to be pleasantly surprised in the main event on June 17th.
Okay. All right.
That's all you're going to get out of me, though.
Okay. All right. Summer Surprises continues, folks. There you go. And, also on this thing, we talk about rivalries and things continue to build. Gauntlet for the Gold, we saw Katie Arquette and Jocelyn Navarro, numbers 1 and 2. And a rivalry, I won't even say renewed. This thing has just been ongoing. And on this night, we get to see them in a match with No Rules. They've had some tremendous showings, and here they go again, but in a completely different style and environment that we get to see them in.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this story has kind of formed organically. and I've decided to run with it. And this is just kind of another little twist in what's happened. I don't know if I don't think we discussed it, but I really was adamant that I wanted to start the gauntlet with them 1 and 2. I just thought that was the perfect scenario for this story. And there were a lot of pitches from other people to be 1 and 2, but I just thought that it couldn't stray from that part of the plan for this. And I think they have great chemistry, but not the typical chemistry. Like they have great kind of beat the fuck out of each other chemistry, which I can only imagine what they're going to do when they have the ability to incorporate weapons and there's no disqualifications. So there's a lot that can be done there. There's a lot more for this card to be announced. I was kind of holding off a little bit, obviously, in the event that we had more information on the Cardona situation, and some other things that have been going on a little bit behind the scenes, some other deals that we've been trying to work out that have not come together just yet. So, there's a few things that we were kind of waiting on to see if we had to move the potential card around. So I would look for more to be revealed about this card, in the next few days, obviously leading up to it. We do have some of the premium seating still available. There's a few stage seats still available, and some second row seats, I think, and that would be it. I would have to double check, but I think that's what's available. The stage seats being available is that always kind of gives me like a worried feeling, because those are like the most premium tickets available. So I always get a little concerned when I see that there's stage seats available. So hopefully, we're able to, have a great turnout. And, we haven't done one of these no rules shows. I mean, it's crazy. I didn't even realize that was the first gauntlet we did since like 2019. This will be the first, quote rap show, no rules show, also since 2019. So just very excited. We have this Absolution and J-Lit, and then we will have gotten to our big marquee events that have been on the shelf again. And as we've stated on the podcast, Wrestle Rager returning to formerly known as Now That's Class, now known as No Class. So, hopeful that everything is kind of going to fall into place for the summer. Not to mention the Bill Alfonso Hardcore Tournament back in Ashtabula. I mean, we have just so much stuff going on. And, speaking to the, I guess we can get into that. We're going to bounce all over the place. But, speaking to the organizers of the Great Lakes Russell Fest, they really want to make this a yearly thing. Last year, obviously, still, kind of in the middle of the pandemic, was kind of a trial run. And they were, excited to give it a try now as we're a little bit out of the pandemic, so to speak. I mean, obviously not out of the pandemic, but, they want to try it again, and they're hopeful that this year, with the ability to have, full capacity and, just, maybe just more of overall interest, they would like this to be a yearly thing. And not just the AIW, they would like for the Bill Alfonso Hardcore Tournament to be a yearly thing, as a part of their annual Great Lakes Wrestle Fest. So, I'm hopeful that is successful as well. a couple notes on that. I can confirm you and I, Steve, will be doing our first ever live The Card is Going to Change on July the 30th
Oh wow.
as part of the Great Lakes WrestleFest. What do you think about that?
Hey, I'm down for it. We've been talking about this for a while. We try to figure out what's the right way to do it. How do we bring this to the people? Let's go, man. Yeah, let's do it live.
We're gonna give that a shot. Obviously Fonzie will be in the house. There'll be all sorts of people there, and then also there's going to be a live Wrestling Cheers podcast at the Great Lakes WrestleFest.
Very cool.
There will be a live At Odds with Wrestling. Our friend Joe will be making the trip back to AIW land, so to speak, on July 30th. His podcast At Odds with Wrestling will be doing a live broadcast from the Great Lakes WrestleFest. And I believe also Pod Van Dam will be doing a live podcast at the Great Lakes WrestleFest. So, one thing that they wanted to do is they wanted to add more wrestling centric things to the Great Lakes WrestleFest and not just have it be an AIW event, right? So they're incorporating these live podcasts, and there's going to be other things going on in the vendor areas this year. So very exciting stuff. Very happy to be working with them. And, obviously, I guess AIW is the marquee attraction, so to speak, for this WrestleFest. So don't make us look bad, people. Like, come out, support it. They've, reduced their ticket prices quite a bit. I did have a meeting with them about that, and they did drop the ticket prices. And, I was able to kind of explain to them a better ticketing system. So it is very affordable. Come on out July 30th and support it, because like I said, if it does well, this, not only, Bill Alfonso Hardcore Tournament, but the entire Great Lakes WrestleFest, they would like to make a yearly event in the Ashtabula area.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be interactive, I think is a good word to use for the day, right? Wouldn't you say? There'd be plenty of
we're working on different things. We're going to experiment with doing some things in the vendor area and other spaces. It should be a fun day, honestly. It was a lot of fun last year. With it being like a new thing, and none of us knew what we were getting into. We didn't know what we were getting into. They didn't know what they were getting into. They just knew that they wanted to bring wrestling to their area. This year they have a little bit better idea. We were able to get more on the same page this year now that we have a bit of a working history, and they've been great. They've been really receptive to my suggestions. I was very adamant that they needed to offer a more affordable ticket, which they did, agree with. And, we've been working a lot more, in a cohesive way this time around. So I'm very hopeful that, it is successful. As I am all the summer events, I hope are successful. Maybe we have too much going on this summer. I don't know. I mean, I guess time will tell when the summer is over if the schedule is too ambitious or not. But I'm very hopeful. I'm very, obviously we were all a little bit overly excited, when we were able to set the schedule, coming out of the, kind of coming out of the pandemic. I'm not going to say we were out of the pandemic, but the summer especially is a very ambitious schedule for us. So, hopefully we didn't bite off more than we could chew. But I'm optimistic, honestly, that all this stuff is gonna go well.
Well, here's what I'll say about our summer schedule. And we're in a couple different areas. If you are in Ohio, let's say Indiana, Kentucky, Pennsylvania. I mean, I know that we have people that come in from further than those spots, but we'll have some places that they can kind of get to. Like the drives aren't bad, especially when we go out east. Obviously, AIW. We've always prided ourselves kind of on being a cornucopia of different types and styles of wrestling, so to speak. But I also think I think that the variety that we are giving people in this summer schedule sets it up so that if there is one particular kind of style or area you want to go to and how you like your wrestling, you can find that show this year and this summer. So maybe you haven't come to AIW before and you want to check it out. And you're like, well, I don't know if I like everything. I kind of like just this style. We've got the Fonzie hardcore tournament that's going to occur, right? So if that's your thing, man, come out to that. That's going to be a great time. Wrestle Rager is just a party. If you like a loose, fun, crazy environment, that's what that is. If you want to take your wrestling seriously and you love your storylines and everything, of course, we have Absolution and the whole build up with that. We've got Jay Lit, and you can see we'll be bringing in different guests for that. So there are so many things, and this schedule allows you fans, and talking to you folks directly right now, because we don't do any of this without your support. And for this to be a success all summer long, we of course need you. But this is that summer finally, because we have people for years clamoring for AIW to run even more often than once a month, even more often than we run twice a month, and we are running like crazy this summer. Get that friend of yours who has said they'll come to a show with you sometime, but still hasn't. Get those friends who have said, man, maybe I should check out an independent wrestling show at some point. I really like WWE or AEW, and I don't know if I'd ever get into the local stuff. Bring them to one of these shows. Maybe they then want to come to more of these shows. But I'm pleading with you to get tickets, bring a friend. And I know we've said that multiple times on the show. It's always a great opportunity to do it, but there really has never been a better opportunity this summer with the amount of shows that we are running to help us bring in a whole new audience of people who have never been to shows before.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing is, so sometimes, we have this loyal fan base, but then sometimes something happens to one of those loyal fans, life, and, they don't come as often anymore. We need to keep kind of replenishing, the fans that come through the door. So we can do, crazy things like bring Minoru Suzuki to the Odeon. I mean, I would have loved to have done that at a much larger venue, but, I think we could have probably sold 500 more tickets for that show. Like, no joke. We need to just keep the train rolling. You know what I mean? It's a group effort. It's not quite a hard sell week just yet. Maybe next week, but it's a lot to juggle. But I think that we're capable of continuing to grow this company, and we continue to grow. I feel like we're just this unstoppable force coming out of 2019, and it's been a bit of a reality check, obviously since then, and there's been glimpses of that momentum again. And I would like to see that, and not be a glimpse anymore. I would like to see that momentum, take off, and we can continue to, grow and add events. And, we are looking at, kind of slowing back just a tad in the fall, obviously, with such a ambitious summer schedule. Mm-hmm. And, I haven't looked ahead quite to 2023 yet, but, a lot of that is going to depend on this summer and how we make plans for 2023 because, probably midway through the summer, we'll start looking at 2023 dates and speaking to venues and trying to get stuff locked in. So, maybe next year we ease back. Maybe, we can do this similar schedule, or, maybe we add more. I don't know. I highly doubt we'll add more, but, we've had a lot of inquiries in different markets. There's been some interest in the Columbus area and, some other areas as well. So, there's a lot of room for growth, but, I'm just not totally on board with, taking some of those leaps just yet.
There you go. Well, John Thorne, I'd say we can open up questions to the Discord, but we really don't have any questions. We kind of answered them. The big questions just kind of surrounding Matt Cardona. We've been chatting here for a while now. Anything you want to talk about, or that we kind of haven't thrown out there? I know we've got that full schedule. And again, if you're wondering about the schedule, go to AIWrestling.com or follow us on social media, any platform at AI Wrestling. Tickets to multiple of these events for sale, shop.aiwrestling.com. Subscribe to the Patreon, by the way. It was mentioned earlier in the show, we dropped some commentary from the North Canton Street Festival and some other things on that Patreon. And sometimes you get ahead of tickets first right there.
Yeah, we release tickets first on the Patreon to the early bird special tier. I believe tickets are on sale for everything but Russell Rager right now.
Okay.
AIW 3D tickets with Shark Boy just went on sale to the email list yesterday. Clarification: the show will not be shot in 3D, even though I did make my best efforts to make that happen. Just thought it was a funny name because we had Shark Boy, and everybody knows the best Jaws movie is obviously Jaws 3D. So what better way to incorporate Shark Boy into the mix? Really just wanted that poster. Everything else we'll figure out later, I guess. But yeah, everything is on sale. A little clarification on the JLIT weekend, just so people are aware. And it can be excuse me, sorry, Justin Summers, for that cough. It can be a little confusing, but we're trying to do this so everything can be organized for the weekend. So there are multiple Eventbrite ticket pages for JLIT weekend, and that is because it's going to be it's too difficult to offer a weekend pass for every ticket level, and then just for inventory basis, and then have single tickets available. And so what we're doing is the weekend passes are the only way you can sit in the most premium seats for JLIT weekend will be via the weekend pass. Okay. So by that, I mean front row on the stage, front row ringside, stage seating. Those tickets are only available in a weekend pass package for JLIT weekend. We will only be offering 50, I believe, general admission weekend passes, and then that's it. So we're putting a bit of a limit on the weekend passes for JLIT weekend, but the only way you can sit front row stage or on the stage will be via the weekend pass. For then you get into kind of the individual events for JLIT. throughout JLit weekend, which, is night one, fresh meat, which is going to be, we're bringing back the fresh meat concept, which will be feature debuting students out of the AIW Academy, taking on veterans of, varying capacities, which there'll be quite a few on hand during JLit weekend. So night one, fresh meat, and JLit night two, there will be no front row stage, or stage seating available for an individual night. I hope this long-winded explanation makes sense. But for JLit night one, fresh meat, and JLit night two, a la carte, you'll be able to purchase second row, third row, or general admission tickets. There's no second row weekend pass, though. So, if you just want to come to one of the nights, you can sit second row, third row, or general admission. If you want to come to just JLit and skip fresh meat, same thing. You could sit second row, third row, or buy general admission. There is no package for the second, third row. Hopefully that makes sense. But
okay,
for inventory purposes, we have to kind of spread it out, because fresh meat is probably going to be, honestly, the most packed show of the weekend, based on so many debuting students. And that is going to be a pretty hot ticket. It's already selling like crazy, honestly. So, we didn't want to put, front row tickets up for that, because they'd be sold already.
There you go. That's a long-winded explanation, but the explanation that you all needed. Again, shop.aiwrestling.com for all of your ticket needs, and get tickets for all the shows that are currently available, which is pretty much all of them. Well, some of them still, I think, just Patreon, right? So,
no, so
yeah, but keep an eye out.
Everything's gone. Everything has gone to.
Is everything available currently?
Has gone out to at least our email list. AIW3D is the only thing that's not public, but it'll be public by the end of this week.
There you go, folks. There you go. So shop.aiwrestling.com. It is. Get on the tickets.
I feel like that explanation was so confusing.
Next week, June 17th.
I feel like that was just such a confusing explanation.
It was it was long. I think people will just rewind and be like, okay, wait, I know that I want these seats. What did John Thorne say about them? And they can go back and they can listen to that.
I hope so, because
be good. They'll just listen for the exact those sections that they want. Yeah.
Because previously we would just have one Eventbrite page, and then it was just like a free for all. And it's just, but we also didn't do any assigned seats besides the front row before and the stage. And now that we've added second, third row, sometimes there's a fourth row. It would be just a nightmare to organize. And, sometimes our crew has a tough enough time counting the amount of chairs per row. So, I'm trying to expedite the process, so it's nice and smooth for everybody.
There you are.
And I may have overcomplicated it, though. I don't know. Let me know. Sound off.
Sound off in the replies, folks, at AI Wrestling on all of your social media platforms. I got nothing else. I think we covered a lot of things. That
just hobnobbing around, huh?
It's hobnobbing around. I told you we had much to talk about, and we covered much things. I don't know. It's not the proper way to say that, but
many things, many topics.
We covered many topics. You didn't think that we would, but we did. I just want you to know, John Thorne, that hobnob is a verb. It means mix socially, especially with those of higher social status. So I used it perfectly and accurately when describing an experience with just myself and Derek Dillinger, and we met and hung out with an NFL football player. I would say he's
Okay.
of a higher social status, right? There you go.
Steve, Webster Dictionary guy. Thank you for
Hobnobbing around, baby.
the official definition of hobnobbing around. Is there an apostrophe at the end of that? Nobbin?
Maple Heights, 4th grade. Well, if
Spelling
you're
bee
not going to throw
champion?
a G on there, yeah. If you're going to slang it, that'd be a
Hobnobbing.
an
I think
apostrophe on there.
hobnobbing.
Yeah, 4th grade.
Hobnobbing
19.
sounds too.
What year was that? I don't know how old I was. 1994. Yeah, 1994. Maple Heights City Spelling Bee champion right here, pal.
Hobnobbing, I think, just sounds
Got my
super
name on a
proper.
big trophy. I got a big trophy with a big B on it. It's great, like an actual, like a B, not the letter.
Oh, I know about the bees.
Yeah, hobnobbing.
You want to talk about schools?
Put that G on there. We're
I know about bees. I know
we're
about
very
the
casual
bees.
here on this podcast.
I went to the home of the bee, Brecksville Broadview Heights High School. We are the bees. Did you know that? Very, very just scary. Very scary. Scary team mascot.
There you go. We are the bees. Who's the bees? You're the bees. Your school?
Yeah, the Brecksville Broadview Heights bees. Brecksville bees. You got nothing?
No. My high school was the Wolverines. Well, high school I had the Wolverines, and elementary school we were the Dunham Dragons in Maple Heights. But the big mural on the wall, the dragon looked more like the dragon from Pete's Dragon or something. Very friendly.
Yeah, we had a bee. You had to change in your gym clothes. It had a bee on it.
Yeah, did you feel pretty badass with that?
Yeah, I mean, not a killer bee, just a regular old bumblebee.
Just a regular old bumblebee. Yeah, wow.
Hobnobbing,
baby. Hobnobbing. Hey, you know what, folks? The last 5 minutes of this pure nonsense, but you could hobnob with us if you get your tickets to any of the upcoming AIW shows. Shop.aiwrestling.com. How about that?
That's a good little plug. Good
Thanks.
plug ski.
End it right there, then, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I got nothing else. We're discussing bees and smelling bees and definitions. So that's about where I punch out.
Yep, there you are. It's time for dinner, folks. So join us next week at the Odeon. And before that, I think that you should join us right here because it'll probably be a little bit of a hard sell week next week. So tune in right here to AIW's The Card is Going to Change.
Oh, Whiskers is meowing. Rare?
Had to get that chime in.
Rare? So we talk to each other. Rare? All right, I'll talk to you next week. Rare?